So a couple special things are happening in the next day or so here. There's the guys tonight who are going to bump into each other, chase the brown oblong thing around, kick it sometimes, and that's fun if you like to watch that sort of thing. 6:34. Then tomorrow is a very special day. It's the St. Valentine's Day. St. Valentine. So the great day of love, romance. Okay. So I want to preach on that. We decided a while back, a few weeks back, that we wanted to spend this weekend preaching about that. How can we reinvigorate married love couples in the parish? And so I'm going to take a stab at it. I know what you're thinking. What's a celibate priest going to tell us about romance? Hey, I had a girlfriend. I've had some girlfriends, all right? All right? I didn't come out of the womb with a white thing around my neck or whatever. And my last girlfriend became a nun. Okay, so that didn't work out too good. She, Sister Ave Maria. She's doing great. Anyway, so I think we can talk about it because we're human beings, for crying out loud, and I think in a certain sense, the priesthood is a very romantic thing. The essence of romance is laying your life down for somebody. There's no greater act of romance than Christ on the cross. In the history of the human race, no more romantic thing has ever happened than that the Son of God, our heavenly bridegroom, came down here and laid his life down for his bride, romanced her. So that's the essence of romance. Solicits a response from us. Ladies, you know what romance is. I'm going to try to paint a picture. If I had to distill it, here's what I came up with. You're on the couch. You're in your sweatpants. You're sick. You feel terrible in the house. It's a mess. And your husband comes home from work. And he mumbles something and he goes in there to the restroom and he comes out and he lumbers into the kitchen and you hear him banging around. And you're like, what's he doing in there? He's making a sandwich, that's what he's doing. He ain't gonna make me one. And you're watching Laverne and Shirley on the couch or whatever, something. And then it continues, banging and clanking, and you're like, what in the world is he doing in there? And then you're like, oh my gosh, he's unloading the dishwasher. He hasn't done that for like a month. And you're like, why in the world would he do that? He never does that when he comes home. He's tired, he's just, And you're like, oh my gosh, he knows I don't feel good. He's unloading the dishwasher, trying to be helpful. And you feel your heart, pitter pat a little bit for your husband. Even though he's lumbering around in there, screwing it up, putting everything in the wrong place. You're going to have to fix it later. You feel it's endearing to you, and you feel that's the essence of romance. If you had to distill it, when you lay your life down for somebody, when you put their needs before your own, and you're caring, thoughtful. Okay. Where am I going with this? Romance. Yeah, I want to here's the only connection I could think of that was like romantic, to talk. We picked this weekend without checking the readings, so I'm looking at the readings and I'm like, how am I going to get romance out of this? But I think there's a little something here we can work with that's in the first reading in the Psalm, are about the tree planted by waters, and I feel like if I had to give a talk, one message to married couples, it's that we have to be rooted, our marriages, earthly marriages need to be rooted and grounded and tapped into divine love. Human love needs to be tapped into that divine love. That's what makes a Christian marriage. It's more than just human. It's more than just a human effort to try to love each other. That's kind of like that tree in the wilderness there we hear about in first reading in Jeremiah. Describes these two shrubs, one in a lava waste, a salt wasteland, and this desert wilderness all by itself, this little lonely shrub. That's like our human efforts all by ourselves to make our marriages, work and bear fruit. By human effort alone, by human power. It's like a little shrub in a lava wasteland, we could stare the love out of each other's eyes. St. John Paul II said about married love, if that's it, it's just based on human love. Okay, we need to transform that water into wine. That's what the whole wedding feast at Cana miracle was about. Now, it's divine love, okay, transforms an earthly marriage and makes it into a Christian marriage, and it becomes really fruitful. The grace of God begins to flow into that marriage. Okay, and it becomes contextualized in the context, this broader context of the marriage between Christ and the church. Christ romancing us. When we live that heavenly marriage first, when each of the spouses lives their heavenly marriage to Christ first, and is rooted and grounded in the love of God, they're able to love their spouses with more than just their own efforts, their own resources. It goes beyond that. Something from outside of them enters into this love between the spouses. That's the grace and the love of God. The love of God. So this bush that is, or shrub, stretches out its roots to the stream of the love of God. The one constant thing we have in this world is the love of God. Everything else is in flux and, is unreliable, inconsistent. It's not constant. We need something fixed, a fixed, constant point that we can grab onto and latch onto. Boy, you look at the whole flux and flow of salvation history, it's just a mess. Swirling around drama, but what's the constant through the whole thing? The one fixed point that's reliable and consistent, the love of God for us. It is unchanging and constant. And He never gives up on us. That is what we need to experience in our lives. Spouses, experiencing the love of God first for yourself, where you're loved regardless of how wretched or miserable you feel, and how you feel your limitations, and wow, I just have so many character defects and shortcomings, weaknesses, such limited resources, to bring to this marriage. I'm asked to do so much, and I just fail and fail and fail to live up to the standard of my vows. Wow. Hey, you feel loved by God, rooted, grounded, loved by God in the midst of that? That's powerful. Where you know it, God loves me. And you just live in that love. You feel loved by God, first and foremost, by our heavenly bridegroom. When you look at that cross, absorb it, assimilate, appropriate the love of God, take it into your heart, deeply into your heart. Then something amazing happens when you feel loved first by God. And that means you're really living that marriage now. You're trying to love God. You're in a loving interpersonal communion with your Creator. Deep personal communion with your Creator, heart to heart. And then suddenly you feel different about your spouse. You start to see your spouse the way God sees your spouse. God helps you to do that by His grace. He opens your eyes to see and discover new things about your spouse. See your spouse from new perspectives and appreciate your spouse. And you feel this deep wellspring of love for your spouse, and you know it's not coming from you. Something else is moving and working in your soul. It's the love of God. You feel love for your spouse that's more than just human love, divine love. God begins to love your spouse in and through you. Wow, that is a deep mystery. Because that's really what's going on. You begin to feel God's love working through you. A different kind of love, qualitatively different than just mere human love. Feel this flowing through you. Wow, you feel the love of God for your spouse, and you can even feel God loving your spouse through you. That is the essence of a true Christian marriage. When a marriage is tapped into that, their roots go down into that stream of the love of God, it becomes a Christian marriage and is capable of weathering any of life's storms, anything that comes downrange, because of the love of God.